Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined by Jack Weinberger, Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. Zach Bloomquist will be back, hopefully, for the Thursday show. As we said on the March Madness episode we just did, Zach is feverishly researching for the NCAA tournament, finding every single upset pick. It's a shame he wasn't on the show.
He wants the I Love Love shirt. That's what it is.
He's a big Baylor Bears fan, actually, Ziggy.
True, Ziggy, he is. He's a huge Baylor fan.
If you haven't seen the show yet, you should get over and check out our March Madness picks. Although I actually think this one will come out probably a little bit before. So in a couple hours, we'll be having a March Madness show dropping. And let's just say the Baylor Bears were a frequent name brought up.
Ziggy also was Ziggy's pick comes from the same region as our friend Michael's pick. So we know Ziggy's in good hands there because Michael's not winning the region.
Yeah. So
yeah.
A little bit of
that was my strategy.
I mean, not necessarily to say Ziggy's going with the Baylor Bears, but there's certainly some big time.
No, I wouldn't do that.
There's certainly some big time surprises. I mean, Jack actually, last year Jack had Miami as a surprise pick. They wind up in the Final Four. It was unbelievable before losing to UConn. So Jack actually knows what he's talking about when it comes to this. You should really check it. I mean, I was all over the place. I'm wearing a Wisconsin Badgers sweatshirt here. I didn't know what to do with them because I have rooting interest with my sister going there. Obviously I always wind up falling in love with like the fours, like Auburn and who's the other four that I was talking about? I did
you brought up Tennessee.
I like Tennessee was a 2. Yeah, I was all over the place. It was a disgusting performance from me on that show. So I'm happy to be back in football. Remember, you can join our March Madness pool on ESPN. The link is in the description below. Free to enter. A great thing. Free to enter. And the winner gets a free piece of merch. A shout out on the show. I mean, again, this isn't a professional show, so we could just continue to come up with prizes for whoever wins this pool. And at the end of the day, I am expecting to win it myself. So you'll see me rocking.
Yeah.
You'll see me rocking a new piece of merch. Oh, it'll be great. It'll be great.
So let's talk about some football.
Yeah, please join. And remember, share with your friends, social media, whatever you want.
Football. What's football?
Yeah, the merch is always available on the Paul Farrington Show or paulfarringtonshow.com as well if you want to check out some of the shirts that we have. But yes, let's talk about some football. Jack, your team has been all over the place this offseason.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of unbelievable.
I'm liking it though.
Isn't it unbelievable how we're Vikings fans, we're Steelers fans, we have Zach with the Dolphins, but the Vikings and Steelers have really been two of the hot teams of the offseason so far.
I'm liking what we're doing.
Unbelievable stuff going on with the quarterback situations there. So this weekend, the Steelers trade for Justin Fields, who, again, some people thought he might go for a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick. Some people even said a 1st at one point. And the Steelers hop in on the trade market for Fields and get him for a 6th-round pick. It could go up to a 4th, depending on his playing time during the season. But a 6th-round...
He's not starting 51% of the snaps.
Yeah, so likely, 6th-round pick for Justin Fields here. To team up with Russell Wilson. I mean, what a bizarre... Can you imagine a year ago? A year ago, we're sitting here and I say Justin Fields and Russell Wilson team up to form a quarterback tandem in Pittsburgh.
You know what I think will happen? I think that a lot of the time Russ will be taking the snaps and will line up Fields as a receiver and do some jet sweeps, utilize his speed.
Oh, yeah, turn him into a receiver.
No, I mean, look, I like it. I'm for it. I'm for it for... I see a lot of these posts, right, on Instagram and everywhere. It's like, oh, new quarterback room in Pittsburgh with fire emojis and all this. And it's just very funny because I think they're both, okay quarterbacks. Like, I don't think they're anything crazy. I think it's just they're both kind of mid, but it's cool to see some new faces, some guys who, one guy in Russ who's proven to be at least one of the better quarterbacks in the league if he can play at his best. And then Justin,
good year last year too.
Yeah, and Justin Fields with, a potential that we're just hoping he can hit that he hasn't hit yet. Super athletic. He can use his legs better than anybody else in football. Just needs that arm to get a little bit better. But I like it mainly for what we gave up for them. Like we said in a couple shows prior, like Denver is paying Russ's salary not to be on the team. We're hardly paying him anything.
I think 1.2.
And then we give up a 6th-round pick for Justin Fields, who I thought when he was healthy last year played some okay football and did some things that I liked. Now he's in a new system, a good organization, new offensive coordinator, just a whole new mantra around him, a whole new set of faces, a whole new team. And we'll see if he can have the potential. I mean, he's gonna be awesome. Sit behind Russ for a year, learn a bit, and then become a starter.
Yeah, I mean, what did I say when the Steelers acquired Russ in the first place? Is that I was pleased they weren't being complacent. They weren't just going to do what it felt like they usually do, which is just sit back, hope things get all right for them. And like, I don't know, hope Kenny Pickett turns into that starter after seeing him fail so many times.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really exciting to see them do things differently. And I didn't think it was going to be this different, right? I mean, trading Kenny Pickett, which we'll talk about, to the Eagles, and then acquiring Justin Fields. But where were the Steelers getting more talent at quarterback anytime soon?
Oh, it's
nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the fact is, you weren't getting a quarterback of more talent than Justin Fields entering the door, probably in the draft this year. Certainly not without giving up a ton. And as much as I have not been very high on Fields, but he's got some potential as a player. He does something at a really high level, which very few guys do. And I mean, even if it's a low chance, even if it's only a 10% chance, there's a chance he turns into a plus starter in Pittsburgh. And if he doesn't, you have invested so little that all you have to do is just wait until 2025. Maybe you don't like the guys like a lot of people don't. You wait until 2026. Get the QB of the future then. But they're not sitting around. They're not complacent. They're actually getting something done.
There were two things that you guys said that jumped out to me immediately. And one of them, first one, the well-run organizations in football. Think of some of the well-run organizations. Steelers are definitely up there, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, you have to put the Packers. They're one of the better run organizations in football. Maybe the Ravens. It's like you have these franchises that consistently seem to make the right decisions. With Green Bay, it would be the way they've handled the quarterback position and drafting successors in many people's eyes too early, but they come in and develop them right. Pittsburgh is also they're winning every single season. They may not be in the Super Bowl. They may need to get over that hump again, but every year you're in the playoffs, or at least threatening for the playoffs, which is really hard to do in the NFL. And I think this move was a perfect example of why the Steelers are a winning franchise, where you get two guys who come in. And the second, for a 6th-round pick and $1.2 million for us, that's unbelievable. And this leads into the second point. By bringing those guys, you actually have hope. With Kenny Pickett, you knew that Pittsburgh was doomed to what, 8-9, maybe 9-8.
Yeah, like 9-8 at the ceiling.
The ceiling of that team with Kenny Pickett. Even though Kenny Pickett seems like a really nice dude. He seems like a fun dude. But you knew you were limited. Yeah, Ziggy's expression there says it all. You knew you were limited with them. With Russ and Fields, sure, you're probably not going to get Pro Bowl quality play, but you might. Like, there's a chance that one of the two of them could. I mean, Russ had 26 touchdowns last year. He had moments where he flashed that old Russ potential. Fields, when he's accurate, which isn't very often, but when he's throwing the ball well, is crazy good. So with those two guys, if one of them can figure it out, that can elevate a team that already has a great defense to, double-digit wins. Maybe you could get 11, 12-win season in there. Again, probably not going to happen, but I think this gives the Steeler fan base a lot more hope. And then leading into what Ziggy said, if it doesn't work out, you go and draft your quarterback in a year or two and you start fresh again. But I thought it was a really well-done move from the Steelers. What I wanted to ask you guys was, Ziggy, you said 51% of snaps, right? That's what it would take.
Yeah, that's what moves up to a 4th-rounder.
So 51% of the snaps. Currently, Russell Wilson's the starter. And we all know the saying, when you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any. So it's nice that they listed the starter right now. But Steelers fans, I have to imagine, would rather see Justin Fields out there. What do you think?
I think I'd rather have Fields for sure. I think the potential and the ceiling of what the Steelers could be with Fields is probably higher than Russ. The thing is, though, with Arthur Smith, I know he loves to run the ball and set up a play action type of offense, which you do with Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee. Russ, to me, is one of the better quarterbacks in football off the play action. So I like him in that sense. But Justin Fields is a guy who Pittsburgh has never had in terms of, like, can bring an element to this offense that has never been seen, where he can bust off an 80-yard touchdown run and change the momentum of a game. He can do what Lamar can do. And that's probably
really not a stretch.
Like, he's probably in that tier with Lamar Jackson, and that's it. Maybe Jalen Hurts.
You could argue pretty plausibly he's a better runner than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
He's so good.
I just think he's so dynamic. And what this offense could be with a good Justin Fields, if he hits that potential, finally, could be super, super dangerous. I just think the ceiling of Fields is much higher than Russ. The floor of Fields is probably lower than Russ, but I'd rather have Justin Fields out there.
I mean, here's what this really is, which is what I like for them. It is a low stakes way to evaluate Justin Fields. And if you don't like what he is, you can coach him a little bit. You can give him some time. You don't have to throw him out there right away. Right? Because it's not like anyone's going to be complaining that Russell Wilson is starting if Russ is all right. And if Fields is good, you can put him out there. You can say, sorry, Russ, you knew the deal when you signed up for us. If you want, you can cry and we can release you. And you move on with your life. Right? Like it's a really low stakes way for them to get an exciting player in the building without a lot of pressure on the player or on them. You know, when Vegas odds opened and the Steelers were the highest odds team to get both Russ and Fields, I thought it was crazy. Somehow both of them are there. And I think it's pretty exciting.
Yes, I would have never envisioned that. I mean, I don't hate the fact that Russ is opening the season as a starting quarterback. Because like I said before, in this Arthur Smith-like offense, he likes to mix up the run and the pass or use the successful run game to open up the pass. I just like Russ a bit more in terms of the arm right now than Fields. Off that play action, I think he's better right now than Justin Fields.
And they'll know throughout the summer. You know, when they're in training camp, you're gonna see which guy has it if one of them does gel better with the offense.
That's a huge thing too.
I think the leash for Russell Wilson is going to be pretty tight. Where if they're in week 4, or end week 4, 1-3 or even 2-2, I can see some people start calling for Fields to come in, and now he gets his shot because at some point Justin Fields will play. He is the prospect here. Russell Wilson, unless if he's 4-1, really cooking. I have a hard time seeing him finishing the year as the starter unless he puts together a really good season. I think it'll be a tight leash, and we'll see Justin Fields, and he'll have his shot with Pittsburgh. Looked like you wanted to say something, Ziggy. Sorry.
Go, Ziggy.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I wouldn't be nearly as surprised as you. I think that Russ, he wasn't great last season, but he was all right. And imagine if Russ is playing pretty well, and like I think they will, the Steelers are competitive for a playoff spot. I don't think Tomlin's going to be starting even an average starting quarterback to put Fields out there. Because even though people talk about their similarities, and I get they're both athletic guys, but their playing style is very, very
especially
different.
At this point.
And the Arthur Smith offense fits Russ much better than it does Fields.
Yeah.
It's tough. I think it is more likely than not Russ plays the whole season, barring injury.
But then what do you do with Fields? I guess you just let him go at the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, you can... Yeah, I mean, there was no market for Fields this year, right? The Steelers traded for him what the Jaguars traded for Mac Jones, basically. They traded less than what Sam Howell went for. So, there was no market for this guy. And if he doesn't play a snap this season, that market's not, it's not like it's going to skyrocket. You keep him around. If you don't like him enough to start him, you let him walk and you say, okay, we gave him a 6th round pick to take a look at a guy and have a decent backup. And if he's good, he's good. There's no mystery here, I don't think.
So we'll be brief on this because we kind of touched on it a little bit. But Kenny Pickett is traded to the Eagles. Goodbye, sweet prince.
I'm kind of sad about that. I liked Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I mean he's okay. He's okay.
I saw him dancing on top of a bar once at Tequila Cowboy.
So Pickett was traded to the Eagles with a 2024 4th round pick. In return, the Steelers received a 2024 3rd round pick and 2 2025 7th round picks. That was the deal for Kenny Pickett. Now, a lot of people have said there's been a lot of rumors going around about Kenny Pickett that he didn't handle Russell Wilson coming into the building very well. That might be a reason that he ultimately was traded. They talk about the end of last season, week 17, refusing to take on a backup role, refusing to dress against the Seahawks after Mason Rudolph was said the starter, went with Pickett recovering from, I believe, an ankle injury at the time.
Yeah.
And, some people have called into question, I guess, his character, his team orientation. And Pickett's denied all that. He said it as Philadelphia presser, the intro. He actually came out and said, I think the communication is what is. It was behind closed doors. I'm confident in the way I handled it. I handled it the way I should have handled it. At this point, it's more of a he said, she said kind of a thing. And we'll see what ultimately that'll just kind of fade away. But I think that Kenny Pickett's time in Pittsburgh was ultimately obviously disappointing, but I love the future of this team a lot more now than I did 48 hours ago. Any parting words for Kenny?
Well, the last season, I believe the games that Pickett both started and finished, he were 7-2. So maybe a little better than what people thought, but obviously the Steelers didn't love him.
Ziggy, you look torn on something.
It's not Kenny Pickett's fault that he was overdrafted. It's not his fault he went to like an organization where they haven't drafted an elite quarterback since 2003. But the fact is, Kenny Pickett was no good. So Steelers beat writer, I'm not going to name him because I'm not here to shame, but he wrote an article in the middle of last year saying, I'll take Kenny over a guy who's thrown for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns a game because Kenny Pickett just wins. Every time a quarterback magically just wins and they're terrible in practice, but they're great when the lights come on, that means they're a bad player. Kenny Pickett is not a good player. Like every other Steeler this year who's complained, he's been sent into exile somewhere he wouldn't want to go by the con artist. That's just what it is for this guy. Have fun, Kenny.
And look, what he is he's I thought it was a great story. That's why he played at Pitt, and I loved him at Pitt.
Well, that's what it was.
And then
that's what it turned into.
Drafted by the Steelers. A kid our age.
Probably part of why he was overdrafted as well.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty awesome. The truth of the matter is, he's probably right now, similar to a guy like Mac Jones, probably more of a very good backup in the NFL than a
I think he's a great backup for Philly.
A great backup as opposed to a starter who can win you much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'd much rather this quarterback room now with Russ and Fields than Kenny Pickett.
Over 24 games, he was 14-10, 63% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. It's just, he had a couple of really good fourth quarter comebacks, and
he's Mr. Okay.
Yeah, he's just an okay quarterback.
Yeah, he's okay.
Who came out and said, "Look at his fourth quarters"? Was it Tomlin? Did Tomlin say that, or was it?
Maybe it was me.
Maybe it was Canada. I don't know. But I remember just people coming out and saying, "Oh, look at the fourth quarters." Like, okay, that means 3 quarters were really bad before it. And that's ultimately what it was. Disappointing ending to Kenny Pickett's time. But hey, in Philadelphia, we'll see. And a new beginning. Still only 25 years old, so maybe a bright future for Kenny Pickett. With that, we'll move on
from
to
South Jersey. He's from right in that area. So, yeah.
An Eagles fan growing up.
Happy for him.
Yeah.
Happy for him. He'd probably rather be there anyway.
Okay, we'll move on to the mailbag now. And we had a Bears question, but I think it came up again in the mailbag, so we can touch on it here. We'll go through it. All right. XX McLovin, XX. He's always leaving great questions.
We can always count on McLovin.
Great questions,
He's a loyal
great
supporter.
comments.
He's a loyal supporter.
There's a few of them, actually multiple, coming in from XX McLovin. And he says, this one's for Jack. Is he excited for Wilson to say Steelers country, let's ride? Or let's weld. Oh,
absolutely. I think that sounds much better than let's ride. I'm ready to weld with Russ.
That's great.
Let's get it going.
At NFC North Packer says, can you guys rank the NFC North teams based on offense and then rank based off of defense? All right. We're going offense right now to start. I'd have to go
Lions, right?
I go Green Bay 1.
Packers.
I go Detroit 2. I'm gonna. I mean, look at what Chicago's done.
Oh, you know what you have to say.
I got Keenan Allen now,
but we have to say it.
No. I'm gonna go right now. Vikings Bears. I like O'Connell. I think Darnold will be okay, but it's very soon that will probably flip to Caleb. Yes, very soon that'll flip to the Bears. But right now, I'm gonna go with Vikings.
With how you love Caleb Williams, you're taking the Vikings offense over the Bears.
I think Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson is great.
Better than Allen and DJ Moore.
I think that Kevin O'Connell is a big factor for me. I think he's a great offensive mind. Okay. And plus, it might wind up being a rookie quarterback.
I love.
I think these are great offense.
I love the Vikings players, but absolutely not. It's Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota. I will say I expect that in the NFC North, all 4 teams will finish with above average offenses, which is pretty uncommon. It's tough for every team in a division to have an above average offense. I think you are going to get that in the NFC this year because I think the defenses are all right, but the offenses will be so much better than the defenses. And the offenses will be great, competitive, best division in the league for offense.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd probably go Packers, Lions, Bears,
Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound a little weird saying Sam
We've
Darnold.
just given up on the Jordan Love thing. He's just too
Oh,
damn.
he's just awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. Hey, look, the Lions have a really good offense too. I know our friend Tom Monroe, big Lions fan, is gonna wind up texting and be like, "Oh, you guys are just sucking up to the Packers." No, the Lions are really good offense.
No, I mean these
Lions,
could be
yeah.
two of the five
Yeah.
best offenses in the NFL next year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
oh man,
Lions are awesome.
Jared Goff, which at this point you have to just say you expect him to show up. Jared Goff shows up, that Lions offense is tough to stop. Defensively, less impressive, like you were saying, Ziggy, on the defensive side of the ball here. I got the Vikings defense as the worst coming into the season. Then I actually think a lot of them are kind of close. Chicago ended the year so strong. I'm actually tempted to put them close to that top spot, but I guess I would go with Detroit's secondary. I'm still a little worried. Maybe Detroit 3. Is Green Bay 1? Is Green Bay also 1 here?
I think they are with that McKinney edition now.
With McKinney.
Yeah.
Is it Green Bay 1?
I go Packers, Lions, Bears,
Chicago?
Vikings.
Chicago 2, Detroit 3, Vikings 4. Nah,
I think Chicago might have the best defense next year.
I think
I was
those three are
really
close.
impressed of how they finished the season, and I like some of the additions they've made. I think they're going to draft defense. So yeah, for me, it's probably Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota. But there's only one thing we can all agree on: Minnesota.
Minnesota's last. I'm trying to actually think here, though. Man, with Hutchinson, Detroit.
The problem is Detroit's
Carlton
got
Davis.
a lot of solid players, but they don't. I'm still worried about the cornerback situation.
Yeah, even with
still
Carlton
am.
Davis. Yeah, you know what? I'll go Chicago 2, Detroit 3, and then I guess Green Bay would be 1 right now. That's close, though. I think those 3 are going to be close throughout the season.
Green Bay's going to roll us, dude.
Merle says, who y'all picking for March Madness? We'll go check out.
Oh,
You got to
Merle.
check out our show.
You got to check it out, Merle.
Yeah, if you.
I mean, it's 50 minutes of March Madness. Some of the most in-depth discussion you will find from any football podcast on the internet.
If you listen to the first 15 minutes of this show and the first 15 minutes of that show, you learn very quickly why we're an NFL. I mean, you know what? That's because we're dead.
I'll tell you, I'm proud of what we did. I thought that
was a great show.
Yeah,
the fans can let us know, but I think that was a real contribution.
This is good.
One of the best March Madness podcasts from an all football podcast on the internet.
Very fair. Red Azteca says, your favorite and least favorite moments of the Vikings playing the other teams in the division. I got this right here. If that's okay with you guys. I got this.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. You're the lifelong Vikings.
Oh man, not a Vikings fan.
Yeah. The Bears, and you have to remember, in my lifetime, I was born in 1998, so there are some games that people are going to bring up that I that just didn't watch. Bears 2007, Adrian Peterson's rookie year, on my birthday, when he absolutely demolished Chicago in Chicago. 3 touchdowns, huge, I mean, unbelievable performance. And it capped it off with a 60-yard kickoff return to set up the game-winning field goal by Ryan Longwell. We'll never forget that game. Worst Bears game, probably the 2009 season, when the Vikings were 12-4, lost to Saints in the NFC Championship game. Towards the end of the year, we lost an overtime game to Chicago. I think they were 4-12 that year, or 6-10, something. Chicago was bad, and we lost an overtime game when Peterson fumbled in overtime. That was absolutely horrible. There might be one more Bears one. I thought there was another really bad Bears game. I mean, we went to a Bears Vikings game, Ziggy.
That's my worst moment watching the Vikings.
that game was horrible. That wasn't worse to me though.
Didn't the Bears win 6-3 in that game?
No, it was
13-9. Wasn't it low scoring?
Yeah, it was 19.
We were freezing. The Bears just took control of the whole game.
The defense was great that game, but no, the 2009 game, that absolutely sucked. I'll be a little quicker here. With the Lions, I would say the best Lions game. Man, we don't really have a lot of and we kind of just whooped.
I mean, who cares about the Lions, right?
Well, yeah, the worst Lions game. I remember the year we had Donovan McNabb. We were up 20-0 at halftime, and Detroit came back and won with
You had McNabb.
We had McNabb for a year. We were up big in all the games he started, and then we gave up a couple huge leads. Detroit was down 20-0. People will probably remember this, and they came back and won. Calvin Johnson was amazing. Then the game where Golden Tate flipped in the end zone. I think the Lions had the ball with 1 timeout or something and 20 seconds left in the game on the 25 and won in overtime. I think you were at my house for that. Golden Tate flipped into the end zone when Harrison Smith hit him. I don't know if you remember that, but that was horrible.
I don't know
that was horrible. Detroit, great games. I don't know. We just Lions suck. And then the Packers. So many miserable games to pick from.
What good games do we have against the Packers?
You
know, there was that moment this year, I guess.
Yeah, what? I'm trying to think.
No good games?
Like any good games from the yeah.
Oh yeah, there were a couple of really good ones. I remember trying to remember when Zimmer beat them. Was that to win the division? I can't remember right now. We beat them in Lambeau late in the year. Can you Google that, Ziggy?
Yeah.
Trying to remember that one. I remember loving the game when we opened US Bank Stadium and we intercepted. Trey Waynes picked off Rodgers to win the game in, I think, week 2.
Oh, I
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
That was a great Viking Packer moment.
I do remember that.
There's another one though that I'm trying to remember. Oh, of course. Oh my God. How am I forgetting the Favre going back into Lambeau Field and Favre on Monday? Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Those are amazing. Look, all the Packers fans, I hope that you guys rewatch those games with absolute misery if you ever see it. That when Favre went in and kicked your ass twice that year, that was unbelievable. One of my favorite plays ever is the Percy Harvin touchdown when he caught it between 3 Packers. 3 Packers ran into each other and Harvin ran to the end zone. Oh,
I'm surprised you didn't pick Anthony Barr just shattering Rodgers' collar.
Yeah, right.
And really,
if a Packers fan would pick a game like that with us.
Oh yeah. Oh look, I know, and I'm never ruined for injuries or anything, but that did open the door. I mean, that did create an opportunity that year, which we did take advantage of to a degree.
I mean, the worst Packer game is probably going to be a game where like Jordy Nelson had like 500 yards and like 3 touchdowns, right?
Oh, there was one more great one. When we beat them in Minnesota, when Peterson went over 2,000 yards to get into the playoffs, we had to win to get in. Oh, that was so good. He ran for like 200 something. There's a lot of good Viking wins over Packers. In terms of losses,
not when it counts.
In terms of losses, now this is what people want to hear. There was one game, and it might not stick out for like the right reasons, but I remember we beat Atlanta with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy's first game coming in playing, and we were so high, Vikings fans, so high. And yeah, we were on top of the world. And then Teddy wound up getting hurt and not playing in the Thursday night game. And Christian Ponder went into Green Bay, and we got, oh my God, housed. We got destroyed. I remember my dad left and went to bed. And he might have even left the house. It was like 42-3 or something like that. And then that's when freaking John Kuhn's hopping in doing the Lambeau Leap. That game sucked. The playoff game sucked right after when Ponder got hurt following the Adrian Peterson 2,000-yard game. We lost in the playoffs with Joe Webb. That game sucked. A few years ago with Zimmer, we were on a roll and we had beat Green Bay shirts. They spanked us in TCF Bank Stadium. And there's so many great Packer, annihilation games of the Vikings. The year we were 13-4 last year, 2 years ago. Remember we went to Green Bay and they mopped us in Green Bay?
Yes.
Yeah, so some of those games sucked. Sorry to ramble on. There's just a lot of NFC North games stuck in
memories are coming back. Memories are coming back.
Good and bad. Colin 676 says, thoughts on the Fields trade? Do you trust Williams with all the new weapons around him? I just talked a lot.
Yeah, but we answered the Fields question, but we didn't answer the Caleb Williams question a whole lot, which is honestly, when people talk about trust, I'm not always entirely sure what that means, right? Like, do I think he's instantly going to be a star? No. But here's what I think the Bears have done. I think the Bears have put themselves in the position to maximize what Caleb Williams is going to be able to do for them. And I like Caleb Williams. I think it's going to take him a little time to adjust, but he's going to be good. But unlike when Justin Fields stepped in, and I think he was in a tough situation, Caleb Williams, hopefully the new offensive coordinator is going to be able to get it done. But they've got a functional offensive line and good weapons. He'll be as well supported as a rookie quarterback could reasonably hope for.
Yeah, I think, I'm not a huge Caleb Williams guy. I think the potential he has is pretty unmatched. Like, he does things that not many can do. The situation's good. Got Keenan Allen. You got DJ Moore. It's tough for me to trust a kid coming out of college who hasn't taken an NFL snap. So I can't see him being an instant superstar. But I think there's a level of potential that he's able to reach. And if he does, he could be very, very good.
So Colin asked, that was Colin who said, do you trust Williams with all the new weapons around him? We had Sychronos. Again, my pronunciations are always
close enough. Probably.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know how you do such a bad job. And he's like, people are lighting you up.
Well,
and for good reason. You can't pronounce anything.
As a host, yeah. What is it? Is it Sychronos or Sychronos? Sychronos?
I'd go Cycronos.
probably
But
Cycronos.
who knows? I mean, it's
all right. Relax here. No one knows how to say.
Yeah, I think it's probably
Sycronos. I mean, that could be anything.
Cycronos. Yeah,
Sycronos. I'm going to loop in this question with what Colin asked. He said, "Do you guys have any faith the Bears can actually develop a rookie quarterback, or are they more likely to ruin another one?" So I was thinking to myself, okay, like who are the Bears have had a couple new quarterbacks coming in, first round picks early. And I went back to Rex Grossman, their last 3 first round drafted quarterbacks, pre Caleb Williams now. Rex Grossman, number 22 overall in 2003. Mitch, number 2 in 2017.
He's all right.
Number 2. I forgot about it. Number 2. And Fields, number 11 in 2021. Look back at the weapons each of those guys had around them going into those years. Rex Grossman, we'll do wide receiver, running back. Rex Grossman had Marty Booker, Des White, and Anthony Thomas. Leading receiver on that team at 715 yards. That was Marty Booker. Anthony Thomas was a 1,000-yard running back, but I mean, that's the roster Rex Grossman had. Now I don't think he started that year, but like not a great set of weapons there in Chicago. Mitch Trubisky, when he came in 2017, Jordan Howard, Josh Bellamy, Kendall Wright. Those were his weapons.
I mean, that was right after they'd blown that pick on Kevin Smith, right?
What, Kevin White?
Or Kevin White, excuse me.
Kevin.
I can't even remember his name. He washed out of the league so fast.
So again, Mitch Trubisky comes in. That offense did not have and now they slowly built up, but not really a great environment to come in. And then Fields, he came in with David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson. Cole Kmet, I think, was also a rookie or in year one. That's the best you'd seen so far. But this is the best by far with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and DeAndre Swift now.
Yeah.
Like I think that what Chicago has done, and it's actually improved each year from all those quarterbacks I said. But you're right, Ziggy. This is a weapons group that can actually be good for Caleb Williams. Like there is a real threat in these receivers and the running back now that Chicago has, which they have not had for a long time. So even though the Keenan Allen thing's a 1-year deal, I do think for a rookie quarterback in terms of developing confidence, yeah, Chicago's got. I mean, how many places are you going to take the wide receiver running back combo over Chicago?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Caleb Williams, you brought up a point that I was gonna bring up. He reminds me a little bit of what I saw from Justin Fields at Ohio State. Similar type of players, but Justin Fields had, that load of weapons at Ohio State. And Caleb Williams had Jordan Addison. And now when Jordan Addison was gone, he takes a bit. I mean, his season's not as great, which is why I think it's super important. The weapons you have around you with this level of play, trying to adjust. I mean, that 3 that you just named, it really is tough to get more solid than that right now. Being a rookie quarterback, trying to develop. So I think there's a better chance here that he can be their franchise quarterback than they totally ruin him.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Caleb Williams has those weapons
like with
that Justin Fields has. They're winning the national championship.
Like Caleb Williams, he has happy feet. He tries to do a little too much sometimes, but I think that's
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't blame him behind the offensive line that he had to work with. It was tough.
I think he's gonna be great.
But it's just coaching. That's just coaching and adjusting to the NFL level.
It's funny. Before we just move on to the next question here, think about the running back, wide receiver combinations in the NFC North with Aaron Jones, Jefferson, Addison, Jacobs. I mean, take your pick of the Packers weapon.
Oh, yeah, Watson.
And then you have Gibbs / Montgomery with Amon-Ra and Jameson. Or who's they have another one right now? Who's it? Jameson? I think it's just Jameson.
Marvin Jones. He's still there.
I don't know who Detroit is. Probably say Jameson Williams. Still, like great. I mean, great offensive division. The second question from Sycronos was also, which NFC North team do you think has the brightest future? We've said this a gazillion times. We're going to say it again. I don't want to say it again. The Packers.
They just want us to say it.
We get it. We understand.
Yeah, they want us to say it. They want us to
the
say
quarterback. All right.
It's horrible. It's
horrible. Yes. Is that what people want? They just want to hear me say the Packers are really good. Does someone want to clip that and throw it all over the internet? Because they are. They are. It's pretty funny. Okay. A couple more from XX McLovin. He says, what an up and down week for the NFL. What are your thoughts on Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney saying one of the main reasons for joining the Packers is because of love and the appeal he has? I actually hadn't seen that yet. I didn't read into that. That's another benefit of having a great quarterback. when you have a quarterback people believe in, you start to become almost a recruiter just by being good. Being good has many perks. I think it's a dangerous sight for the rest of the NFC North, the rest of the NFC, that if people around the league believe in Jordan Love, it's not just Packers fans. And if he's able to draw talent, it's already a really loaded roster. I think one shows that, yeah, he's got all the talent in the world, but two, seems like Jordan Love is also a great leader. I think it's a great sign for the Packers.
Nothing is more important than, at least in my eyes, than support of teammates and players like that. When you go into the better safeties in the NFL now, a position that you really needed in Green Bay, coming over to your side because of what he thinks you can do after the season you just had, I think that is an awesome boost of confidence for Jordan Love.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing, I haven't seen people talk about this a lot. It's not directly related to this question, but like McKinney and Jacobs are really good friends from their time together at Bama. One of the things the Packers had going for them that made them so strong last year was all the locker room synergy, right? All these guys got along. Adding some older, more experienced leaders who you're hoping can help you take that next step on opposite sides of the ball who really get along. And, we're forged in the Nick Saban fire. I really think there's a possibility those guys contribute a lot next year. And that with Jordan Love sort of becomes some of the bigger leaders of this team.
Yeah.
With Bakhtiari gone, like that Aaron Rodgers era and all of those guys are officially sort of gone. All of them more or less have left. I know there's some players who were on the roster at that time, but like Bakhtiari and Rodgers were tight.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a new era in Green Bay. And with all of these people coming, it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. Certainly, I will say, not exciting.
I mean, listen, in terms of importance season by season, last year was more important to see that Jordan Love had the it factor. But I would say that this year, for Packers fans, like this is when you're going to find out now.
Is Jordan Love good or is Jordan Love great?
Yeah, is he great? Are you going to be perennial contenders for the next decade? And the signs right now indicate that, okay, this guy, like he seems like he's got it mentally now. And we already know it's the physical. It sucks. I
mean, if he does what he did for 9 games for 17 games, they could be 15-2.
And McLovin has 2 more questions. He says, do you think this year is the year we'll see 2 NFC North teams in the NFC Championship game? It's hard to. I have to say no.
It's improbable.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, very possible. I think the Lions and Packers have to be the favorites for it again, but
it's only tough because obviously one has to go on the road
twice.
Yeah, I'd probably say San Fran versus Green Bay / Detroit again.
Yeah, if you're picking right now, the Aaron Donald retirement was big for the Rams. Like I do think that was massive. Yeah, in terms of if you're ranking the teams, the NFC Championship contender hopefuls, I would probably say right now San Francisco's got to be the one. Probably put Green Bay at 2, honestly, and then Detroit 3, maybe the Cowboys 4.
Yeah. Then what, like
Rams,
Philly 5?
Rams, then Philly. That leads in nicely to the last question from McLovin. Lastly, what team do you think falls to being horrible this year? Do you think the Eagles rebound from playing terrible, or do you think they've hit a wall and will take a year to fix? In terms of teams, though, well, first Philly.
There's way too much talent on Philly to be terrible. I mean, I think Philly's gonna make it
bad.
Like they're gonna make the playoffs. Philly, like talking about terrible.
Wait, Ziggy, Philly. Are you out on Philly? A lot of people are down. Really down on them.
I think Philly finishes second in the division. I think if you finish second in the division, you can't say you had a horrible year. And it's not going to be a year where there's like 3, 4, and 13 teams. No, like they'll be fine. I mean, are they going to reach the levels of Super Bowl contender? I don't think so. But it's tough. I think the offense will stay about the same, maybe get a little better, and the defense can't get worse. If you're talking about teams that might really have a fall off, a lot of folks aren't going to want to hear this. But I think the Baltimore Ravens are a team to keep an eye on for that. I would not be surprised to see the Ravens finish 4th in the division.
Wow.
Great offense. Don't get me wrong, but they lost so many key contributors on the offensive line, on the defense, on the coaching. And it takes a lot of time to replace that. Meanwhile, every single team in the division around them got better, improved, got healthier. It's one of the toughest divisions in football. I would not be surprised to see the Ravens finish 4th.
Maybe like Tampa. Like I know Baker had a good year last year. Mike had
Yeah,
a
but
good year,
it was an improbable run.
yeah, but isn't there a world you can see Baker just sucking them going 4-13?
Yeah, I think. Look, Ziggy, I know you said, I know you said Baltimore. I don't think you think Baltimore would be horrible, right? You just think
But if you finish fourth in the division, I think Ravens fans see as a huge.
Yeah, I
Even
guess
if
they
you
would say
finish
it's a
fourth in the
horrible
division
year.
with 7 wins, that's finishing fourth in division's always terrible, Paul. You and I both know that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think, that would be Ravens fans would say
AFC
we had a
North
horrible year. AFC
North
North
is
is good. It's
solid
really good.
too.
But yeah, the other definition then of horrible, I think Tampa's a good pick there.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who could just be really?
I mean, the Rams defense could collapse without Aaron Donald, and
Rams
Matthew
bad.
Stafford gets hurt. You only need if Matthew Stafford gets hurt, this Rams team is horrendous.
I mean, here's another one.
Vikings.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we don't have expectations right now.
Oh, he's saying like team of expectations.
I can see things going south in Cleveland. I don't expect them to, but Cleveland's another one of those teams where the defense was so good this year. If they step down a peg, like do you really trust Deshaun Watson? I
mean, look, yeah, like Philly's defense set down a huge peg from prior year to this past year.
I don't think Philly's gonna be great. I think they're a wild card team.
That's not horrible.
No, it's not horrible. But like Cleveland, I could see. I don't think they will. But in terms of teams you could see taking that step back, yeah. Is there anyone else? Could Buffalo?
To me, the Bucks.
No, Josh Allen's playing.
Yeah, the Bucks come to mind
Yeah.
when that question.
Oh, the Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. How did we forget?
Oh yeah, no, the Packers. I mean, I think
Packers.
it's going to be
The whole NFC North, Packers.
Yeah, no. I think the Packers when Love implodes, what's that like 3-14,
3-14.
something like that? Yeah.
And if he sinks 2-15,
And just messing around. Okay, just a few more questions here, and we'll wrap this thing up. From Long Way to Pro.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Cool profile picture, I think. Yeah, actually, very cool profile picture. How are the Bears inevitably going to totally blow their season despite so many great free agent signings and offseason trades?
Drafting a lineman at 1 or something like that.
No, I think Chicago is actually going to be solid this year. I expect them to threaten a wild card. If it were to go wrong, it would just be really horrible development of Caleb during the season.
Or like
that's it.
Or like, knock on wood, a horrible injury to Caleb.
Oh, well, yeah, no. I mean, like that would blow it up. But
yeah, but like something like that kind of doesn't count.
They will be good. They will be good unless if they botch Caleb during
to answer that question is Caleb Williams being a total bust.
Yeah. Or Chicago messing him up.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen, but that's it. Because the roster's coming together nicely.
Like that's the
offensive line too. If that offensive line just collapses, and even if Caleb's okay and he's running for his life, making mistakes, like as we said, trying to do too much. That's another, like if the Bears fail Caleb, that's how they will suck. That's it.
Williams has tendency to do that too. Like he scrambles and does a lot.
You have anything, Ziggy, or are you just complete agreement?
I think people overrate the extent to which teams completely ruin quarterback development. I mean, it happens sometimes, right? But I think like every position, even though coaching matters, if you're a good player, you'll rise eventually. And if you're a bad player, there's no hope for you.
The O-line's got to be a little bit concerning, right? In that if you're trying to find something that would stop Chicago's offense.
Yeah, but I think the Bears' offensive line is. I mean, they were average last year.
No, it's okay. But
they've added some decent players. Like I think it's going to be a slightly above average offensive line, and that's all you need.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
you don't need the best offensive line in the NFL. You need to be good enough to give your guy a chance. And the Bears' offensive line is going to do that.
This Bears team is not bad.
The Bears could be good. We'll see.
They're my number 1 worst to first contender.
We have from Dynasty 701. How likely do you think the Vikings make the playoffs with whoever's playing quarterback as long as Justin Jefferson stays? The rest of the team is solid. No?
Playoffs. You're talking about playoffs?
I mean, I think they're probably the worst team in the division.
So
I think there's a world.
Game.
I think there's a world where the Vikings can be playoff.
Like the NFC's not very
It's not good. Like what do you have? You have Green Bay, Detroit. Let's say, and I don't even think there's a guarantee that these teams are just listing as being in.
Like the Vikings could be better than the Bears.
Like we could be better than the Bears.
Green Bay, Detroit, Philly, Dallas, San Francisco. But then
the
you got
Falcons.
like Seattle,
And then you have the Falcons winning the South. Then what? You have like the Rams, Seattle,
the Rams, Seahawks,
the Bears. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe the Commanders if Drake May is unbelievable or something like that. But
Like those 6 and 7 spots should be up for grabs.
yeah, I think that 7 spot. And I'm not even going to write Philly in with the way they looked at the end. Like, I think the Vikings can 100% be a playoff threatening team. But I also can see them being like 3-14.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think the defense, another year of Flores.
I don't think you have to be
better.
like to be the 7 seed in the NFC. I know it was Green Bay last year, but I don't think you got to be very good.
9 and 8 could get you.
9 and 8 gets you the 7 seed. You go
Probably not. Probably got to be double digit, but I think the Vikings have a shot. Ziggy, as a fellow Viking fan, am I being biased or?
I don't see it.
That's fair enough. I mean, neither do I. But I'm saying like there's a world.
I mean, there's always a chance, right? Like the Buccaneers made the playoffs last year. Anything can happen, but no.
This is amazing. We have 2 more from X Pomsky X. He says, "Here's a fun one. Please say this is true." A quote from Justin Jefferson on his first impression of Kirk Cousins. "First time I ever met Kirk, he picked me up in a minivan to do a film study at his house. 30 minutes into the film session, his wife walked in his man cave with a platter of crackers and cheese. Kirk smiled at her, and she smiled back. They stared at each they stared at each other, lightly smiling without saying a word, for 11 minutes. Then finally she said, 'We'll leave you boys to watch your stories.' Shortly after, Kirk said, 'I'm sorry you had to see that, Justin. That was our first fight.' And Kirk and I never talked about it again. Sometimes I lay awake at night thinking about that. Like, do I need to call someone? What would I say? Is Julie okay? What's the sex like if that's how Kirk and Julie throw down?" Justin Jefferson on his first impression of Kirk Cousins as a rookie.
So their fight was just them staring at each other for 11 minutes?
11 minutes with Justin Jefferson in the room.
What? After watching that quarterback doc too, like I could so see Kirk and his wife doing that. Like I could see how that plays out.
I mean, it's fake. It's fake. That was fake. That was written by him. That was written by him.
I see the man.
That was a great bit of fan fiction.
That was unbelievable. That was amazing. I was reading that. I didn't read the first part. I just read the quote when I first saw that. I was like, oh my God. But I was like you, Jack, for a second. I could envision that.
I thought it was true. I could see it. I could envision it. Like, yeah. Like he's smirking.
Kirk and his wife staring
yeah, with a slight smirk.
For 11 minutes, and Justin Jefferson just sitting on the couch looking back and forth. What the hell is going on?
I thought he was going to say 11 seconds. I'm like, oh, then I heard minutes. I'm like, what? You know how long 11 minutes is?
What is wrong with this dude?
Oh, if I was Justin Jefferson, I would have left.
You walk out. You walk out after what, 90 seconds? Like I think I give it a minute.
I give it 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then you're gone. Just imagine. I thought that was so good. That was so funny. The last question from Dinosaur Jones. Another great name. Dinosaur Jones. Dinosaur Jones might be the best name we've ever had.
What's your favorite dinosaur? Is it a T-Rex?
Yeah. I was a big dinosaur kid. You know how they had that little chart going around social media, or the graphic where it was like every boy was one of these. It was trucks, dinosaurs. What were the other 2 categories? Trucks, dinosaurs. Might have been. Oh my gosh, what was it? A couple more things.
I forget. I like balls.
What? I
like
what?
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what you mean.
Like the I don't know, like bouncy balls and
bouncy
balls, like all that kind of stuff.
No, it's like a topic. Ziggy, do you have your computer in front of you?
Yeah. What do we need?
Can you actually find this? It was a graphic. It was like all boys, like one of these 4 things growing up. It was dinosaurs, trucks.
You like balls?
I think another one might have.
One of them must have been trains, right?
Is either like trains or construction, something like that. And then there's
I had a lot of cars.
I was a dinosaur.
I had a lot of little.
You said we've got dinosaur, bulldozer, truck, and spaceship.
Spaceships, yeah.
Spaceships.
I was definitely a dinosaur guy.
I always had little race car like toys.
Land Before Time. Oh, that's great. That's great. I love how this isn't even a question. We just
get to the question.
Dinosaur Jones says, which one of you is the worst at fantasy? And Ryan Reed said, good question, Dinosaur.
Well, I could probably answer that.
This is obvious.
As unfortunate it is for me to say this, he's such my good friend, but Paul's a horrible fantasy player.
Come on. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm a much worse fantasy player. I think I have an average position of finish of 9th place over the last like 6 years and the worst record in our league over the last 6 years. Right?
Yeah, it's and then actually that was shocking to see. We calculated who had the worst record. This league of Jack and I and our friends from back home. So Ziggy fortunately is able to avoid this because who knows where Ziggy could have fallen. But Jack, yeah, he has the worst record in the league over the past like 4 or 5 years. I mean, lost the league 2 years ago. But wait, were you in the playoffs this year? You were horrible, weren't you?
I was horrible.
Which is kind of crazy because I think Jack is one of the more respected players.
I was in the playoffs. I lost in the first round.
Yeah, this was a better year for you.
Yeah. But even
won the league.
Even the years where I didn't come in last, I was like second to last, third.
No, but you're either really bad or really good.
Yeah.
So you'd rather be that than barely miss out.
Consistently like 8th place.
But yeah, Jack, I would say. I mean, you had Nick Chubb. Like they're unlucky breaks. And Ziggy, in terms of me or Ziggy, Ziggy is a good fantasy. Ziggy for a second looked like he was going to have an absolute dynasty roster, like crazy good roster.
Then the league
dynasty
reset.
league, and then a reset. Ziggy's a very good general manager, but he does so by preying on the weak in the league, which is
Paul, come on.
I
made one trade that wasn't even all that questionable.
I think Ziggy preys on the weaker football minds, but you know what? Ziggy.
Well, every mind's a weaker football mind than me, so I have no choice.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I do win the leagues, but yeah, I would say Ziggy's very good. Jack has his moments of. I mean, Jack had a couple of really good teams, but yeah, Jack is the worst.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I could see you storming back and winning. Like it wouldn't shock me. There's people that.
No, I mean, Jack might be worse, but he's not bad. He knows the game.
Well, actually, bad.
And the thing about Jack is, every year there's something unexpected that does really well. Jack's one of those guys. He's not great at picking at the top of the draft, but he has a vision later on, and sometimes you never know what's coming.
There are people that would stun me if they won the league. Jack is not one of those guys. If Jack won, I'd go like, okay, that makes sense. But wait, who were your first 2 picks? You took Waddle and.
I took Waddle and Chubb.
And Chubb got her. Yeah.
Honestly, so you got unlucky.
Yeah. I might
took Waddle early.
I might just be a name at this point, though.
You might
like I might be like a Duke. Like Duke's not going to win it all.
No, you're not Duke. Duke goes to the Final Four.
No, I'm talking about this year. Like this year, it's like
no, you're like Nebraska football or something like that. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Who's? Yeah, you might be Notre Dame. God, you might be a Notre Dame.
I'm worse than Notre Dame.
I don't know, man. You might be. Oh, that sucks to say. Okay, we'll wrap up the show there. It's not funny, guys. We hop on early, yet somehow we always end up at 9 o'clock. We always find a way.
Not 9 o'clock yet.
Not yet. Okay, thanks for listening. Remember, please check out if you've made it this far, which is unbelievable. I mean, you consumed 2 hours of this show's content today. If you watched everything,
we appreciate you.
Oh yes, I mean, unbelievably so. We appreciate it, and everyone who leaves a comment. We do see every comment, by the way. We can't respond to every single one, or we get fired from our jobs. But we do see every comment, and a lot of them we react to. We send screenshots in our chat all the time, and they help us plan the shows too. So the more comments that you send in, it does impact what we talk about. Especially the mailbags, literally answer all these. So appreciate everyone who's been commenting. And then remember to join our March Madness pool if you haven't. Free to enter, win a piece of merch, get a shout out on the show. Who knows what other prizes could be included. A great package, because to win this bracket challenge, I mean, you really know what you're talking about.
You got to go through 3 juggernauts.
I mean, these are 3 guys right here.
You got to go through 3 juggernauts.
If you listen to the March Madness show, like this is.
Before we wrap up, I have one last bit of football news. This is news you will only hear on the Paul Farrington show. You know who the Patriots director of college scouting is, Paul?
I mean,
he's a little guy who goes by the name Cameron Williams. He is completely inactive on Twitter. Doesn't tweet a whole lot, doesn't like anything, doesn't repost anything, right?
I have no idea.
For the first time in 2024, he has liked a tweet. The first time in 3.5 months, by the way. He liked a single tweet. You know what this tweet says? I'm telling you guys, Drake May is a Viking. They're sending a Godfather offer for number 3. Josh McCown coached Drake May in high school. He fits Kevin O'Connell's system perfectly. Who owns the number 3 overall pick, Paul? Can you tell me?
The New England Patriots.
The New England Patriots director of college scouting, the only thing he's done on Twitter in all like half a year is liking a tweet saying the Vikings have sent a massive
How do you
offer for
find that?
I
number
mean, you don't
3.
hear that anywhere.
Where else are you
find that?
getting this level of analysis, Paul?
Ziggy, don't reveal where you saw that.
How did you,
I mean, you can go to Cameron Williams'
how?
like tweets.
How did you see
Dude,
that?
how'd you see that?
Paul, you can see like tweets on Twitter. You don't want people don't
No,
understand the research I do for this show.
That's not what I'm asking.
People don't understand
How
the
the
research
hell did
I
you
do
come
for
across-
this show.
How did
Yeah. How do you come across that?
People don't understand the research I do
That
for
is-
the show. If you're
that
not
is
looking at the like
unbelievable.
tweets of the directors of scouting of
Wait,
your
but-
rivals,
Isn't May supposed to go number 2?
well, Jane,
I mean, there's been a
saying
lot.
Daniel.
There's been a lot of smoke. He's going number.
Oh.
That he's not going to make it because of Jaden
Daniels. Okay.
Okay, so wait a second.
Because who went to Washington? Jack, who's their offensive coordinator?
I have no idea.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh,
thought you meant
Who's
the college. I thought you meant the Huskies.
Jaden Daniels' number 1 comp? Little short, athletic guy. Will Kyler Murray
Very
anyone?
fair.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, Jane's big.
I'm just saying, Paul. Like this is, in all seriousness, our fans. This is a genuine. There's probably nothing comes of this, but if you're talking off-season rumor mill, this is incredible.
If Drake May's a Viking, I mean, I am very
Go back to this clip of Drake Mays.
Oh, I'm very excited about it. I think that's the official stance of the show now. That has to be that Drake
Yeah.
May is going to be a Viking.
Yeah. I think
So whenever anyone asks me, coworkers, friends, family, they say, "Who are the Vikings drafting?" I'm going to say Drake May. I'm going to say I have sources.
I have sources, Drake May. Well, they can find the sources out. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Ziggy, that was arguably the greatest end of show tidbit I've ever heard
It's out there.
of any show ever.
Oh, yeah, that was remarkable.
If folks have to watch until the end if they want the scoop.
Oh my God.
They'll get there. They'll get there.
Paul's having visions. He sees the bombshell I just dropped.
I know. I mean, yeah. I'm like,
If you've made it
dozing
to
off
the
here.
end, folks, let me know what you think of this because I can keep digging for stuff like this.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll be back on Thursday. I mean, that was amazing. Yeah, we'll be back on Thursday, and with Thursday you get fresh episode of the show, tournament day 1. I mean, does it get any better than that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure it does. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you soon.